Lewis Hamilton is urging the FIA to introduce a rule that restricts when F1 teams can start working on their next car. This is to avoid one team, such as Red Bull, who has won all 8 races this year, from having a huge advantage. Is Hamilton trying to distract Max Verstappen and Red Bull? Or is he hoping that this will prompt the FIA to introduce new technical guidelines to create a fairer competition? The battle for supremacy just got even more intense. Race fans, get ready for a thrilling debate as we delve into Hamilton's master plan and the potential shakeup it could bring to the world of F1. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you like all things F1. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Max Verstappen criticized Lewis Hamilton's proposal to restrict the timing of F1 teams' next car development. Red Bull has dominated the 2023 season, winning all 8 races. Verstappen leads the Drivers' Championship with a comfortable lead, while Hamilton trails by 93 points. Mercedes aims to catch up by shifting focus to their 2024 car, given Red Bull's advantage. Hamilton suggests a regulation to prevent teams from starting early car design. This would level the field and benefit non-Red Bull teams like Aston Martin, who see a chance for success if Red Bull's attention is divided. The car is moving in the right direction. I think ultimately it's likely that bit by bit, by the end of the year we will probably catch Red Bull. But that's only because they're probably already focusing on next year's car because they're so far ahead, Hamilton told the Austrian GP. They don't have to make any changes to this year's car anymore as they're so far ahead. He's cruising at 100 points ahead of us. I think the FIA should probably put a time when everyone is allowed to start developing on the next year's car. So August the 1st, that's when everybody can start, so then no one can get an advantage on the next year, because that sucks. It would make more sense. They should. Say for example you start the season and you know you have a bad car. You can just say, I'm not going to bother developing this car and pull all this money into next year's car and have an advantage, he added. Mercedes dominated Formula 1 for 8 years in a row, winning the World Championship from 2014 to 2021. Hamilton believes that changing the regulations will stop one team from dominating the sport for a long time, like Mercedes did. When asked about Mercedes' previous success, Hamilton responded, "We never started as early as them. That's why I'm saying it needs to change, because that's why you have dominance for so long, and they keep allowing it to happen." Ferrari was ahead and the same thing happened there. When Red Bull were ahead with Seb back in the day, they start earlier so they're always ahead. Expanding on his suggestion, Hamilton added, "I was really fortunate to have one of those periods. Max is having it now, but with the way it's going, it will continue to happen over and over again. And I don't think we need that in the sport. If everyone had a cutoff time, then no one has a head start and it's a real race in that short space of time for the future car. Maybe that would help everyone be more on a level the following year. I might be wrong, but something has got to change. It would be cool to see in the next 20 years that we don't have huge bands of time where one team lead too far ahead, because we want to see better racing." During the FIA news conference, Sky Sports F1 posed Hamilton's remarks to champion leader Verstappen, who appeared unenthusiastic about them. "Life is unfair as well. So it's not only in Formula 1, Verstappen said. "A lot of things in life are unfair, so we just have to deal with it. We weren't talking about that when Lewis was winning his championships, right? So I don't think we should now. That's how Formula 1 works. When you have a competitive car, it's great, but at one point, of course, you also have to look ahead to the next year. It's normal people behind us say these kinds of things, but they should also not forget when they were winning how it was looking. And if people would comment this kind of thing, then probably they would comment a bit different. But that's how it goes in Formula 1, Verstappen added. Red Bull's current position at the top of the championship, coupled with their ability to focus on developing their 2024 car early in the season, has raised concerns regarding the consequences of their aero testing penalty for surpassing the cost cap in the previous season. As a result of this violation, Red Bull has received an additional 10% reduction in aero testing time, in addition to their existing Constructors' Championship handicap that will remain in effect until October of this year. Hamilton believes that the penalty imposed on Red Bull had minimal impact on their performance, and he further commented, "I don't think the penalty cost them anyway. The penalty didn't cost them anything. It definitely didn't. It was so small." Red Bull's technical director, Pierre Wache, explained that the true consequences of the penalty will be felt by the team during the Canadian Grand Prix. Wache stated, "Every time when you have a restriction, it affects you. We have a restriction because we were winning the championship last year, and we are still leading. Is the 10% further reduction affecting us in the number of runs we are doing? We do less tests, less development, but we have to be even more efficient in the way we work. For sure it will affect the performance of the end of the year car and next year. The positive of it is that it is maybe developing even better processes in the system and motivation in the team. When the system is against you, it's interesting to see that it affects you in some good ways. I try to see the positives of it, but it's clear it's affecting us." A new rule like this might potentially help level the playing field. However, it can also impose limitations on the teams. For instance, lower-placed teams would have the advantage of focusing on their next car earlier, similar to Aston Martin's approach last year. Despite the potential drawbacks, it could be a beneficial idea. Moreover, it assists teams in adhering to the budget cap, which should be the top priority for every team to avoid penalties. To prevent a situation like Red Bull's dominance in 2022 from recurring, Toto Wolff has advocated for an early completion of Formula One's cost cap audits procedure. During the Singapore Grand Prix weekend in October, there were rumors that at least one team had spent more money than allowed. Red Bull CEO Christian Horner denied that his team was the one. However, it was later discovered that Red Bull had actually exceeded the spending limit for 2021 by $1.8 million. This amount was later reduced to $400,000 after a disagreement with Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, or HMRC, the UK's tax authority. In late October, Red Bull faced consequences for their actions, including a reduction in their wind tunnel and CFD time. Now, Wolff wants to speed up the process in 2023 to avoid a similar situation from happening again. Wolff told media, "I think everybody is keen to have the results of the audits and potential consequences very early on in the season." And then he went on to add, "It is Mohammed, I am, and Stefano. It is all the teams because we don't want to have a drag until October to find out that somebody has breached the cap for the previous season." Then what does that mean for penalties? When would it take effect? Because if those penalties come into place very late in the season, you're actually taking the amount you do the next season. So, we are all keen, all the stakeholders are keen to have the audits as quickly as possible. We must bear in mind that obviously Federico Lodi and the FIA have limited resources, limited manpower, and they're doing their best. It's possible that one of the teams exceeded their budget last year, especially considering the significant development efforts some teams undertook. Mercedes, for example, introduced a substantial number of upgrades, which could potentially push them over the budget cap. However, we haven't seen the full picture yet. Hamilton has been facing a winless streak since the Saudi Arabian GP, which was the second to last race of the 2021 season. It was the first time in his Formula One career that he didn't win the championship. To turn things around, Mercedes plans to introduce another significant improvement at the upcoming British Grand Prix, with further adjustments planned before the August summer break. While Hamilton believes these smaller advancements will allow him to compete for victories as the season progresses, he also wants Mercedes to prioritize building a championship-winning car for 2024. "I'm trying to win a race. I really have no idea. It depends where the car goes. I think we'll hopefully get close, but I can't predict what Aston are going to do, what Ferrari are going to do, where Red Bull will be. I hope so can win a race this year, but I also hope we don't focus too much on winning a race this year. I care less to win a race this year and more to win the championship next year." What are your thoughts on Hamilton's remarks? Do you think Mercedes has something up their sleeve in their upcoming upgrades? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.